The following is a presentation from Wheeler Frost Happy Hour series, Financially Fit in 2013. The April 24th production is entitled Redefining Retirement. The presenter is Sean Neisel of Wheeler Frost, and he presented at 57 Degrees Wine Bar, located at 1735 Hancock Street, San Diego, California. For more information on this audio broadcast, please contact Wheeler Frost Wealth Managers at area code 619-491-0225 or email at followus@wheelerfrost.com.
Well, thank you guys very much for joining us this evening. Again, my name is Sean Neisel with Wheeler Frost. And first of all, I just want to thank you guys for being here tonight. Each and every one of us, you and I, have 24 hours in every single day. And you guys made a decision to come here tonight to be a part of this event, to listen to the presentation that we've prepared. So my desire for you is that you would not only have a good time, but that you would leave here feeling that your time was valued. I want to give you some information, some inspiration that you can take with you tonight and start making choices and changes that will positively impact your life, not just now, but for the future. Specifically tonight, we are going to be talking about redefining retirement. I think that financial planning, simply put, has just got it wrong on this. Traditional retirement planning, here's what we like to do. We planners like to take life and put it into different categories or different silos, because when we do that, it's easy. The problem with that is that you can't neatly and finely categorize life or finances into nice little silos or nice little boxes. So traditionally here, we're going to cover traditional retirement thinking first. The first phase is what I like to call the dependent phase. Now, here's a little picture of a house. This is your financial house. Here's mom, here's dad, and here's this tiny little human. Which one do you think you are? You're the baby. You are dependent. Our first phase in financial life is a dependent one. We need someone to take care of us. We need someone to put a roof over our head. We need someone to feed us. We are entirely dependent on others to take care of our needs, of our food, of our shelter. So that is the first phase of our financial life. We live in someone else's financial house. And then eventually, when you're 18, or if you happen to live in Southern California, when you're 25, your parents finally give you the boot. They say, I love you, but good luck. And now here you are, grown up, and you have to build your own financial house. So what do you start out with? The first phase in any building project is the foundation. You have to lay a sturdy foundation. Then you can build up the walls, you put a roof on there, and 5, 10, 15 years down the road into your adulthood, you can look and say, hey, I've built something here. Maybe you'd like it to be a little bit more fortified, maybe a little nicer. Some of you might be thinking, hey, I've kind of arrived, I'm feeling good, I'm looking at my financial house and it's big, it's strong. So you are in this building phase once you move out from the dependent phase. And here's where the financial planners traditionally step in and they say, hey, you have a job, you're working hard, you're building your financial house. Maybe you need to do some remodeling over there, some restructuring here, but you need to start planning and saving for, and here's the magic word, retirement. And they define retirement. Now I want you to do this, because this is really interesting. When you go home, get on your computers and Google retirement and do an image search. And what's going to happen is you will get a picture of every gorgeous beach and island and elderly couple known to man. Our idea of retirement is this one of a permanent vacation on a hammock in between two serene palm trees. And so a financial planner steps in and they say, hey, you want to have this permanent vacation, you need to start saving. And that's not bad. I don't want you to walk out of here tonight and say, hey, he said I don't have to save. That's not my point. My point is we're approaching the idea of retirement altogether incorrectly. So you've built up your financial house during the building phase, and then you enter phase number 3, the drawdown phase. This is where you have to, in order to keep that fire burning, okay, I want you to think of the drawdown phase as a fire. In order to live, it costs money. And the way you spend that money, how quickly you spend that money, is going to be known as the burn rate. So you're taking that financial house and you got to throw it into the fire, and that money is going to burn up so that you can maintain your lifestyle, maintain your comfort, maintain that roof over your head, food on the table, whatever your definition of your desired lifestyle. If you want to maintain that, you're going to have to burn up money in order to do so. Now, if you have not accumulated enough assets, or in what I like to picture it is you've built your financial house, and if you've ever seen a log cabin, what do? They chop up wood out there, they're working hard, and you stack up your firewood on the side of the house, right? If you haven't accumulated enough firewood on the side of your house or enough reserves and savings, once you burn through that to maintain your lifestyle, what do you have to do with your financial house? Well, you're going to start, and we're seeing this more and more, and it's very sad, you're going to have to start pulling down the roof of that financial house, throwing it in the fire. Then you're going to be pulling down the walls. And eventually, in some cases, you got to start tearing apart the foundation. You're digging into your principal. You're eating up that inheritance that you wanted to leave for your kids or your grandkids or a charity or loved ones, friends, whatever it may be. And then you're left at the end of the day in a dependent phase once again. And that is a big problem. So here is my premise that I want to submit to you. I believe that retirement is a false entitlement born out of a misunderstanding of what work is. Now let me break that down. It's a false entitlement, and here's why. Once upon a time, you retired at age 60, 61, 62. You worked for a company, you had a pension, they threw a nice little party for you, they shook your hand, they gave you a gold watch, and they said, good job, have at it. And so you took your pension, your gold watch, and you retired. Typically, you'd go on that dream vacation that you've been putting off all of those years of hard work. You'd spend some time with your family, and then you'd settle down. You'd live for 1-2 years comfortably in that vacation-style retirement. But then you passed away. You died. That's just what happened. I don't want to be morbid, but the reality is when retirement, as we understand it today, started, it was a completely different time. Life expectancies were only about 65 years old or so, and that was on the high end. So if you retire at age 62, you have 2, 3, 4 years maybe of retirement, and just with life expectancy as it was, you passed away. So the idea of financing and maintaining that vacation style, sitting on the beach retirement was much easier to do when you had a pension and 4 or 5 years that you had to fund versus now. So here's what's happened. Today, the times have changed. We no longer have pensions and gold watches. That burden of funding retirement, or that burden of replacing that paycheck, it's now on the individual. It is on you. It's not on the company. Add to that, people are living much, much longer. And lifestyles are on an elevated expectation. If you look at the boomers' parents, okay? So let's go 2 generations back. The American dream was you own a home, you get a pension, you retire. Homes back then, standard home, 2 bedrooms, 1 bath. You look at today, and what's a starter home? 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, and that's probably on the conservative side. And so when you retire, you don't just want to retire in your home, you want to retire in a mansion with a 3-car garage and go on dream vacations whenever you want. So not only are you living longer, lifestyle expectations have risen. It costs more money to live the lifestyles we want to live. And we want to be on a permanent vacation, no longer for 5 years, but with people living into their late 70s, 80s, 90s, 100, you're talking about funding this lifestyle without any kind of income from work for 20, 30, 40 years in some cases. And so, again, I submit to you, this idea of a vacation-styled retirement is a false entitlement. We just can't do it anymore. And it's born out of a misunderstanding of what work is. Work. Oftentimes people, when you ask them about work, what do? They start talking about their job. Now, it's a subtle difference, but I want to submit to you that there's a difference between a job and work. It's understandable that it gets confused, but here's the difference here. I want to define work for you. Work is an engagement that brings value to others and meaning to me. Think about that. Work is an engagement that brings value to others and meaning to me. There is a dark side of retirement, and it's due in part to this misunderstanding of what work is. Now, if I asked you when I first came into this room, would you guys like to stop working? Chances are a lot of you would raise your hand because you have a misunderstanding of what work is. But if I came in here and I asked the audience tonight, raise your hand, who would like to stop doing things that bring value to others and meaning to your life? Would anybody in their right mind say, yes, I would like to stop bringing value. I don't want to help other people. And you know what? I don't care about having meaning in my life. That's not important to me. Okay, that's ridiculous. We all find meaning in bringing value to others. It drives us, it motivates us, it invigorates us, and it gives us a passion for life. So, in my mind, all of us here want to work. Let me tell you a story. There's surveys that have been done time and time again. Boomers are being surveyed, and retirement has been shown to be the most difficult life transition for those surveyed. More difficult than entering the workforce when they were young, more difficult than going from being single to married, more difficult than having and raising children. Think about that. That retirement, 2/3 of those surveyed are saying retirement has been the most difficult transition I've ever had to make. Why? Because it's not just about money. It's not just about saving the right amount of money so that you can maintain that burn rate, right, that we talked about earlier. It's more than that. And here's why it's the most difficult transition. I was reading this story about a farmer. Self-made man, started a farm, worked from the ground up, and he built it into a thriving business. He worked with his hands. He also worked with his mind in building the business. And he afforded enough money. He had saved enough reserves. Again, that image of building that home and having enough firewood stacked up on the outside of the home. He had lots and lots of firewood stacked up on the outside of that home. So he could throw those logs into the fire and continue to afford his lifestyle that he wanted. And so what did he do? At age 62, he retired in the traditional sense. Here's what happened. He went to his golf club. He started hanging around there, and he said the first 2 weeks were great. He was with some other people and friends his own age who had also retired. They swapped stories about the good old days. They had a great time. But after about 2 weeks, he had played plenty of rounds of golf. He had heard all the stories. And about a month into his retirement, every time he would go and talk to his friends, it was repeats. He was getting late night repeats, the same old stories, the same old songs, looking back at the golden years. And not only that, here's where the conversation started to shift. Once everybody had told the stories and heard the stories repeat times, the stories started to shift. They didn't have anything to talk about, and with them being older and health starting to decline in different ways, some worse than others, the conversation shifted to pains and ailments, shifted to things that they were frustrated about. And these people who initially entered into this vacation retirement excited and happy to be kicking their feet up and enjoying their hobbies, the conversation shifted to one that was, oh, my elbow, it's killing me. You know, I think I might have gangrene here. My arm's going to fall off. Or, you know, oh, did you hear about Betty? She tripped the other day, broke her hip. Again, that's 2 hip replacements in 1 month. Okay, so maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit, but you get the point. And so this farmer, this self-made man who had plenty of assets saved up to maintain this lifestyle, you know what he did? He went back to work. He went back to the farm because he looks back now, and a lot of those people that he was hanging out with when he originally retired, they're no longer here. And he thinks that they literally died of boredom. And this is the dark side of retirement, you guys. People retire, and even if they're fortunate enough to save enough money to finance that retirement, again, which is more and more difficult to do these days, but even if they can do that, they get up and they look in the mirror and they say, is this all there is to life? And they get depressed. They disengage from what is going on. And ultimately, I think that not just figuratively, but literally, people are dying of pure boredom. When the mind shuts off, when passion is gone, the body follows. So humans, okay, you and I, simply said, we are not built for retirement. Why? Because work, bringing value to others and meaning to me, that is a good thing. Why would we ever want to stop engaging in an activity that brings value to others and meaning to your life? Now, I have the privilege of working with Pete Wheeler. He's the CEO and owner of our company, Wheeler Frost. He is in his late 60s now and could have retired if he wanted to easily many years ago. But what is he doing? He is still working because he understands this idea of what work is. He understands that when he is working, he's bringing value to others, and that gives him meaning, that drives him. And I'm very happy to say that I also can raise my hand. I can raise my hand and say, you know what? I can't see a time when I would ever retire from work. Because why in the world would I want to stop doing something that drives me, that motivates me, that gives me meaning, that gets me out of bed, that gets me thinking and activates my mind, and also brings value to others? I am engaging in people's lives through what we do. Okay, we don't just work with money. We don't just do planning. We help people. And that makes a difference. I think that we have mistakenly idolized the idea of a life of ease. Remember, go and Google search retirement. Okay, we have idolized this idea of a life of ease, of permanent vacation, when instead what we really want in life is purpose. And that's what traditional thinking about retirement, that's where they've missed it. Okay, they've missed the boat, because they are thinking about financing a permanent vacation when we should be viewing it as pursuing meaningful work. So what do we do? Okay, so there's an issue. There's a wrong way. I'm submitting it to you tonight. There's a wrong way of thinking about retirement. So what do? We need to stop thinking in terms of phases. We need to stop thinking that life is phase 1, dependent, phase 2, building, phase 3, the drawdown phase. Okay, we don't live life in silos. We live life in a continuum. There is overlap. There is gray area. And it's not as clean and cut as we would like to make it in the planning world. So here's what you need to do tonight. You need to determine what your ideal financial house looks like. What kind of financial house do you want to build? And then, this is where the rubber meets the road, you need to go and build it. And after you build it, it's not a matter of transitioning into deconstructing it, right? That drawdown phase and throwing it into the fire and calculating your burn rate. Okay, it's not about building and then taking back down. It's about determining what you want, going after it, building it, achieving it, and then maintain it. And here is that subtle shift in philosophy, that subtle shift in thinking that has changed my life, how I think about retirement and work and what I do, and I hope changes yours as well. Stop making choices based on someday retiring from a job, and start making choices based on pursuing meaningful work. Pursue meaningful work. The practical outcome of this is a combination of that building phase we talked about earlier and that drawdown phase. So we are no longer walking through phase 1, 2, and 3. We are now walking on a continuum where we have built this financial house, but we need to maintain it. And when that happens, we can continue on that path of meaningful work. Here's what happens. When you pursue meaningful work, you are bringing value to others. And by bringing value to others, you will make a good living. You will make money. And when you do that, you will be able to achieve and maintain a stable financial house. Why would you ever retire when you are doing meaningful work? So practically, meaningful work will bring financial value into your life. As you are engaging in meaningful relationships and providing valuable services to others, you will be compensated for that. And if it's meaningful to you, there is no need for you to stop it. So we are not going to enter into a permanent vacation. We are going to pursue meaningful work indefinitely. And when you do that, you are going to be engaged fully in the present. You're not going to step out. A lot of people, when they retire in the traditional sense, they feel sidelined. If we have loved ones who've retired, we've seen that happen. They feel sidelined. But when you're living and pursuing and doing meaningful work, you are fully engaged in the present. Now and tomorrow, you can be fully engaged. And above that, it makes more sense financially. You are at your highest earning level at the point that traditional thinking would tell you to retire. When you are in your 60s, you have the most work experience you've ever had in your life. You're at your highest earning level than you've ever been in your life. More than that, your investments that you have saved, again, yes, we do support saving and planning. That's a key aspect. Your investments are at their peak position to work for you more than any other time in your life. So why would you get something up to peak performance and then start drawing down on it? It's like telling an athlete to train, and then once they get up and they're ready to go and compete, you tell them, go start eating donuts again. And you're going to impede their performance. It's the same idea here with your portfolio. Let it work for you when it's at its highest, when it's at its strongest. That's just smart financial sense. And you'll also receive higher Social Security payouts the longer you defer. Okay, so I can't speak to your specific situation, but the rule of thumb is the longer you wait, the more you will get. If you look at the world's wealthiest, they get this. Every year Forbes puts out a list of the wealthiest people in the world. And I just did a quick survey, opened it up, and I looked at the top 10. And we're talking billionaires with a B. Okay, the richest people in the world. Do you know how many of them are retired? None. There is not one retired person. All right? Now, what does that tell us? It tells us that they get it, that they understand the true definition of work, that they are bringing value to others and meaning to their life. So why in the world would they stop doing that? I want to encourage you guys tonight to take this definition to heart. Stop making choices based on someday retiring from a job, and start making choices based on pursuing meaningful work. If you can find that, if you can do that, not only will you bring value to others, but you will be compensated yourself. And you will be able to do that as long as you want to. You can taper back at some point, focus on other areas, but why would you ever stop working? I wouldn't, and I certainly hope that you wouldn't either. We look to the world's most successful, we look to the wealthiest people, and they get this. And I think we should take a note from them. I want to thank you guys for listening tonight. I want to challenge you to step up, to pursue meaningful work, and to live a life that is fully engaged in the present. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for listening to our presentation. It's important to note that past performance is not a guarantee of future returns. Nothing presented in this presentation is or is intended to constitute investment advice, and no investment decision should be made based upon information provided in this presentation. While Wheeler Frost has used reasonable efforts to obtain information from reliable sources, we make no representations or warranties as to the accuracy, reliability, or completeness of third-party information provided. Information provided reflects Wheeler Frost's views at this particular time. Such views are subject to change at any point, and Wheeler Frost shall not be obligated to provide notice of any change. Thank you once again.